Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Mustafa Mohsen, as you may or may not know. And I'm going to start calling this series officially Must Have Known Better. Kind of playing with the words there. Like by using my name Mustafa and then like must have known better. But this episode will be called The Need to like the need to always apologize, the urge to always apologize for anything going wrong or any decision that you make, or just literally a course of events going wrong and you feel the need to apologize even though you couldn't really change anything about it. And I struggle with this myself because a lot of the times when I feel the need to apologize for things, it's mostly because I can't really place it. Like I can't really place it mentally nor like in the physical world, because it's like I made the decision and I knew that that decision was a decision that needed to be made, and I had to make it because it was something that I had to do because I needed to prioritize myself in certain situations, or I needed to do that thing knowing that emotionally or mentally it would hurt someone else. But at the end of the day, that also isn't completely my responsibility. I know this might sound harsh, but it really is not, because in general, dealing with other people's emotions, and I know this for myself, I am a really emotional bunch. Like, trust me, I know that it's difficult for others to, in the past mostly, to have me around, because I was like, I wouldn't say I was a liability, but at the end of the day, I kind of was, y'all. I kind of was. But I just always felt as if, like, I just am a really emotional person. In the past, I used to be more open about it. I used to, like, also because when you are in different settings and when you have different types of people around you in general, you will show more emotions or less emotion. It really depends on your surroundings, of course. If you have friends that are around you and you're really close with them and you kind of gotten used to talking about your emotions with them and just kind of being open and honest with them and transparent with them, you will feel more comfortable to talk about your emotions and to be more vulnerable in general. But sometimes when you get into this new type of setting and you don't really know what to do, and nor do you actually, like, you're starting to get to know these people, you don't really know how much of yourself you kind of want to put out there, because it you aren't like you still don't really feel actually like comfortable with them. You don't really know them yet. And every small little thing that goes wrong or anything that you do that might kind of show the like flaws or just sides of you that you didn't really want other people to see, or just in general doing things that you thought embarrassed you, which like makes them embarrassed to be your friend. This is like such a like specific thing to say, but you will like apologize for the way they perceive you. And that is something that, of course, I struggle with, because my whole entire life I've been always too busy focusing and hyperfixating on the way others view me, because I couldn't really view myself in a good way. I was so hyperfixated on my flaws, on the things that went wrong, on the things that I'm not good at, that I fully forgot the things that I'm actually good at. And even now, it would be difficult for me to actually sum up things that I'm actually good at without saying that, like without pointing out the flaws in the things that I might be quote unquote good at. And that was always something that I struggled with. But to carry on about the concept of the need to, like, the urge to always apologize, that's something that I've struggled with my entire life. I already told you guys that I apologize for the way people viewed me, because I didn't want them to view me in a bad way, because them viewing me in a bad way would ultimately make me, like, remind me that I'm not good, you know? I would fully reflect it. I would fully embody it, you know? If somebody, because I didn't really have any self-respect on that aspect, I couldn't really, like, I didn't feel as myself. I only noticed the flaws of myself. I felt as if I was just a combination of bones and anything, and just like parts of your body. I didn't feel as if I was like, you know, a living organism, like a living entity, like a human being. I felt like just traits, you know? I felt as if the things that I went through kind of made me the person I am. And of course, they did make me the person I am, but I viewed myself in such a way that the things that I went through were the only things that defined me as a person, and not the characteristics. Not my curly hair, for example, not my eyes. It was the way that others viewed me, because I couldn't view myself. I couldn't actually like look in the mirror and say, well, this is Mustafa, you know, this is me. No, I could only point out the flaws. And for that, I always felt the need to apologize for anything going wrong. It was as if that just me existing in the near vicinity of someone, I would feel the need to apologize for just being near them. As if I would apologize for taking someone's time just by talking to them. I would apologize for just literally being me. I would apologize for the smallest inconveniences going wrong that I physically, mentally, emotionally, and literally physically, in all of my will, didn't have any control over. Time, we don't have control over time. I would apologize for things going wrong that I couldn't control anything on. Like, I couldn't control any aspect of it at all. And that really, like, it was difficult to kind of unlearn that behavior, because once you get used to this subjective feeling and the thing that you convince yourself of, that you're kind of a burden to anyone, you will apologize for anything, and for everything. And it was so difficult to unlearn. I still to this day apologize for the smallest inconveniences. And I think it does also make me the person who I am. I want people around me to feel good. I want people around me to feel comfortable, you know? And if I do something wrong that might cause them to not feel good, I will apologize for that. But doing things or just existing was the thing that I was apologizing for. And after a while, I started noticing that it would easily, like, I would easily be susceptible to others manipulating me in the way that just you, for example, yes, you, pointing out a flaw or pointing out something bad about me, that would already be a reason for me to apologize to you for that flaw that you pointed out to me about me, you know, instead of just like owning up to it. I'm like, okay, but like, it's none of your business, you know, like, it's a different thing, you know, like if somebody points out like some dumb characteristic, or like points out, well, like, yeah, you have curly hair, we're like what, like, really, like, wow, like, oh, thank God you told me, you know, like, of course, like, okay, like, that's it, but like, if they would tell me, yeah, I don't really like curly hair, like, what would I, like, I used to literally, like, it's a dumb situation, but like, in that situation, you would literally expect me, like, if I would look back, you would literally expect me, like, oh, I'm sorry about that, like, what, it's so embarrassing to even look back to. It's like, I would apologize over the smallest little things, and not only would it make me seem like this loser, I'm just gonna say it, like, it's not only going to make me look like a loser, somebody who has no self-respect and like owns up and like defends himself. No, I would literally apologize for just existing, because it's a burden to someone else. That's literally how I would feel. And after a while, I also started noticing that apologizing a lot just in general not only has the impact that I just mentioned, but also kind of takes the seriousness of an apology, like the sincerity of an apology. Because if I would apologize over the smallest little things to someone, and I would actually do something wrong, my apology wouldn't appear sincere because, I apologize for like the 25th time, But for me, of course, it kind of it comes from the fear of abandonment. You don't really want someone to leave. So by not wanting them to leave, you will do anything and everything to make them stay. And just to let them not leave you, because it kind of reminds you of the trauma and everything that you've been through. And of course, that is, probably the reason for the excessive apologizing that I do. And I know that, and that's why I'm talking about it, and I'm able to kind of deal with it and find my way around it. But it just... I've talked about this a few times already, and I think it's also kind of an important thing of the thing that I do here and talk about myself. It's like, in general, it's really difficult for me to deal with things not knowing the outcome of, or starting things not knowing that they will, like just starting things knowing that eventually they will end, but kind of waiting for it to end just to prove to myself that, yeah, well, anything that you do will end, or anything that you start with someone will inevitably hurt you. And for that to kind of prevent it, my brain automatically kind of finds a coping mechanism for that, or not only a coping mechanism, it will kind of find a mechanism to prevent it from happening while simultaneously causing it to happen. Because once again, overly apologizing takes not only does it take the sincerity of an apology away, but in general, like what are like, after a while, apologizing for everything is so annoying. Like, not only to the person doing it, but also to the receiving end. Like, I know this myself. Like, if I would look at, like, back in the past and apologizing for these little small things, like, I'm like, looking back, I'm like, yeah, well, they had the full right to traumatize me. Like, child, no, that's not what I meant. But like, I mean, they had a reason. You know what I mean? They had a reason. But no, this is me kind of coping with it. Of course, this is literally me trying to deal with it. By kind of trying to not only justify it, but kind of actualize the situation. I don't know if I talked about this exactly, but when your brain is unable to kind of deal with things or process information, it will most of the time kind of fill in the blanks by itself with the information that it already has, I think I talked about this before. For example, if like I said, the excessive apologizing that I do, I know for a fact that it's because I don't want someone to leave, or I don't want someone to feel hurt, because hurting someone will make them leave, So my brain kind of fills in the gaps, and it's like, yeah, well, when you apologize to someone, you will make them feel better, and by making them feel better, they will not leave you, But that kind of sounds manipulative, but that's not how I mean it. I more so mean it in a way that, I mean, in general, I think having fear of abandonment can always appear that. I think the thing is, I don't think it's not manipulative, because it's not like I'm just apologizing just for the sake of to get kind of the comfort out of it myself. That's not the thing. It's more so that I generally do mean the apologies, but I also know that if I continue on doing that same mistake and having to apologize for it again, it will cause them to eventually leave. That's why in hindsight, I will apologize for it. If I know, for example, that what I did was wrong, like if I did something that like hurt somebody, for example, I don't know, took a candy from them, or like their favorite colored candy from like a box of candies, and I knew that it hurt them, and I know for a fact that I will not repeat that same mistake. I will not. I will leave that, for example, blue colored candy for them. But if the next time I would take it again, like if I would take it the next time and I would apologize, my brain would say like, wow, that's like that's like another step closer to them leaving you because you're repeating something. While it might just be a small, like little inconvenience, like a small little thing, like taking like a fry from somebody or taking a bite from somebody's food is not going to make them leave you, I mean, of course, there are many different types of scenarios where that could actually lead to them leaving you. I'm not going to give any examples, but not that I went through it myself, but I'm just saying, And that's just always been kind of on my mind, how when I apologize, because now I'm kind of thinking of it. I mean, I've written down, like I wrote this down in my notes. When you think about it, like when I started thinking about it, like why do I apologize for so many things? Because I know for a fact that I mean it, The last thing that I want is to be an inconvenience to someone and to be a liability or to hurt anyone in some type of way, because I know what it feels like to be hurt. I have borderline personality disorder. I feel emotions on like in extreme ways that really defines it as well. So I know what it feels like to be hurt, to be treated in a badly manner. So I would apologize because I wouldn't want that to happen to me, If I hurt somebody, I would apologize because I know for a fact that I would also feel hurt in such a situation, if they would have done the same thing to me. But also at the same time, I always feel as if I have like, it's like, and like, I think it's like in Mario, for example, you have like 3 hearts. And every time that you die in the game, you will lose a heart. And eventually it will be game over because you lost all 3 hearts. And that's like how it feels for me to kind of do anything. Once I do something, I have to touch the ground because this is like my what is it called? I don't know. It's like some behavior that I do. But basically, it's like, I don't know. I just do it. It's like my brain is like, oh, if you don't touch the ground at 20, like if the clock is like, what is it? Like parallel, and you don't touch the ground or whatever, something bad is going to happen. But anyways, what was I even talking about? No, I forgot. No, I forgot what I was talking about. I forgot what I was talking about. Let me think. This is actually so embarrassing. This is annoying. But anyways, I forgot what I was talking about. Either way, I'll just continue from where I think I left off. So, the over apologizing. No, this is annoying that I forgot what I was talking about. This is so annoying because I know that I will watch this back and I'll be like, oh yeah, this is where I stopped. And I'm like, oh my God. And it will be annoying for you, the viewer, because I lost what I was talking about. But anyways. Yeah, I remember. So it's like, that's how like I went through life, like, or that's how like I go through life the whole time. It feels as if I have like 3 trials to do something successfully, and if I don't do it, or I repeat the same mistake, it will inevitably end wrong. It's as if there is like a clock ticking, and every time the clock passes a certain, like it does a full circle, something that there's like, I have less time, less chances of completing it in a successful way. And that's why I also kind of felt the need to always apologize, because every time that I did something wrong, or just literally me being myself and that possibly hurting somebody else, or possibly affecting somebody else in a badly manner while it's just literally maybe existing. Like, I'm sorry, child, but like I'm not going to keep on repeating the same thing. Like, just me, like I would literally apologize for me just existing. So like that's literally that. So I'm just gonna continue from there on. Just literally, like, I would apologize for just existing. And every time that I would do something wrong, or just doing, like, saying something wrong that would make me appear, like, in a weirdly manner or in a weird way, I would apologize for that, because I had a feeling that just them objectively viewing what I did, or how I sounded, or how I acted, or the way I was tapping on my phone, or the way that I was touching my hair. Like, I would apologize for that. And every time that I noticed that they viewed something bad about me, or they noticed something annoying about me, it felt as if I was, losing a heart every time. And the game over of this hypothetical situation would in reality be them just leaving me, because that's the inevitable end of losing all the hearts, losing all of the chances that you were given. And that's why I always felt the need to apologize, because it felt as if it pulled them closer to me, but also made them come come closer instead of leaving, like if this would be a spectrum, and every time I would apologize, like this is the middle here, this one would always like move there, and this would be leaving. Every time I did something wrong, it would be like closer to them leaving. While I know that it kind of sounds dehumanizing in a way, because I would see, it would also be dehumanizing for me, but also for the other person, because actually no, that other person, I'm not gonna apologize. Like, I'm not gonna apologize for that. Nor. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. The dehumanization part, they dehumanized the out of me. They dehumanized me. They dehumanized me in ways where it cannot even describe. Of course they can describe. Trust me, the words are there to give a description, but I don't care about the dehumanizing of that person that I'm talking about right now. I don't care. I'm talking to myself currently by saying that. But just, I would kind of dehumanize myself, because I would see myself as a trial. I would see myself as a robot that every time that they did something, it would come closer to them having to reset, because I did something, and that person was like, oh, so like that's who you are, like why would you act that way? I would be so paranoid about everything that I do, just because I needed to have control over myself, but also of my surrounding, because I never had any control of anything. It was not that I was trying to control others, it was more so trying to control my way of viewing, of them viewing me, I was not trying to control them, controlling them, actually controlling them, hey, you have to view me this way. No, it was more so mentally, I was trying to make it make sense, make the way that they viewed me, or the way that they perceived me. I would kind of make that appear in such a way that it defined who I was, and I would collect that. I would look around all of my surroundings and the way that this person viewed me and this person viewed me, and I would collect that, and I would make it who I am, because, and that would also be a way for me to kind of change those things about me that I perceived, that I saw other people perceive of me. That way I wouldn't have to, that way I could apologize for the way that they perceived me, but also simultaneously change that thing about me that bothered them so much. Instead of just accepting that me existing, and me doing what I want to do, and me talking the way that I want, and me being the traumatized person that I am, with really weird hyperfixations on anything and everything. I'm not gonna apologize for talking about something that is I'm not gonna do that. Okay, you don't like that artist, okay, So what? Like, so what? So what? You know, I'm not gonna apologize for liking that artist. I'm not talking about some controversial artist. I'm not talking about that. I'm me saying that while Grimes poster is like next to me. But either way, that isn't the case here. But I would just apologize for existing, you know. I would apologize for existing. I would apologize for everything and anything and everything and everything and it would so be like, it would be so boring. Like, I would look in the mirror and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what is going on? What is going on? Like, what is Mustafa up to, child? Are you up to? What are you doing? What are you doing? You are letting small little things define you. I would apologize for everything and everything and everything and everything and everything. And inevitably, I would lose myself in it. And simultaneously lose the people around me, because I would apologize and be such an annoying person to others because I was an annoying person to myself, you know? And that was something that I struggled with and still struggle with to this day. Like, I am so hyperfixated and so stuck up with the idea that somebody could view me in such a bad way, and I couldn't really prove them wrong because I never really did. That was also something that I struggled with, is like dealing with people gossiping around you, or like gossiping about you. The fact that I couldn't really change anything about that gossip, knowing that it's not wrong, like knowing that it's not right, you know, knowing that it's wrong what they're saying. But because I couldn't really change anything about it, I would either embody it or ignore it, you know? And ignore it or ignoring it would literally simultaneously be embodying it. Because instead of physically perceiving it, or just perceiving it by other people, like perceiving other people like watching me in a certain manner, or like perceiving me in a certain way, I would almost turn or transform in such a person, like a version of, like a first version of myself, that I would, like, I'm trying to prove them right, you know, that it's not like as if I'm trying to prove the way that they're viewing me right. And why am I trying to prove that? Because I know for a fact that I never had self-respect. I never had any sort of feeling that I'm intact with who I am. I never felt connected with any part of myself. I never felt good about any part of myself. So them viewing me in a bad way only made sense to me, you know? So them viewing me in a bad way was better than not being viewed at all. And that was something that I struggled with my whole entire life, is that I always felt like I felt unseen. I felt kind of neglected, you know? I felt not here. I never felt loved by anyone. So by just them simply viewing me, I would either apologize for the way that they viewed me. I would also apologize for the way that them viewing me could have had an impact on them, and the way that it has an impact on them just in general, later on perceiving me, which probably if they viewed me in a bad way, or they perceived something of me in a bad way, they would, you know, leave, you know? So I would apologize for me causing them to leave. While that is not, like I am trying to, like, I would try to do anything and everything to be loved, to be perceived, to be enjoyed, to be accepted, that I was so hyperfixated on preventing the bad things, like the bad ways that someone could perceive me or like view me in, that I would apologize for that. But simply apologizing for that would push them further away, because not only would it show someone that I don't have any self-respect and I don't have the power to defend myself, but I would also appear really vulnerable in the way that they could easily use me. Because they knew for a fact that, you know, in the situations where I got attached, they knew for a fact that every time that I would apologize was a step closer for them to kind of make me feel bad about the slightest thing, and make me apologize for the way I am feeling, which is causing them to feel bad. This was a really hectic video, but I suppose that I am projecting, obviously. it's hectic because I am a hectic person currently. But thank you guys for watching. I hope everyone continues to feel good, and hopefully you guys have an amazing day, an amazing week. You'll know where to find me next week, same time, same place. Everything, everywhere, Mustafa out.